Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Alejandro Perez, the CGI Nerd, and in this video we're going to be going over how to create this little procedural character that we have here. And we start off with creating the skeleton, but that was created in the previous video. If you haven't seen that one, check out the video link in the description below. And then in this video, we're actually going through this process here to create the geometry that we see here based off of the skeleton, and then doing some sweeps and using ramps to control the profiles and things like that. It's not exactly a step-by-step tutorial, but it does go through the whole process in real time and giving my thought process on how to approach this. It's by the end, I've already kind of thought of better ways to approach this, but it gives us a good base of how to work on it. Also, it gives us the geometry for the procedural, but it's not completely built into like a tool like what you would put into a digital asset. That would take some more time to like link attributes together, and I think that would be a good process for this, because once I got at the end and I started making little tweaks, I had to move a lot of things. And I think if we made it a little bit more procedural, where things automatically moved when I set it up, it would be like way better. And I think maybe an extra half hour's worth of work, and then I can have a much more flexible kind of like base mesh generator. Right now I don't have a head, but like, that's kind of like what I wanted for the character. But we could always add like a switch node and turn it on and off and have like a geometry for the head that comes on and off. But yeah, that is what we're going to be going over this video. Let's get started. Okay, so for the character here, what I want to do is be able to have a set of geometry based off of what I've created for the skeleton. So with all of these, what I can do it with a lot of these different points. Where do I want to start off? I'm going to go in and let's do it from the geometry here. So I'll work with, let's do the body first. So we have the spine here. We've created this line basically for the spine. So I'm going to create a, go here, and I'm going to create a new chain, and I'm going to start off with a sweep. Boom. And right now we're having an error, and that's because we don't have a second input. But if we switch it over to a round tube, we get rid of the error, and I am going to switch the caps to be caps like this. So at this point, let's template the skeleton so that we can kind of see what's going on here. You can see kind of what we have for the character. We can adjust the radius, so it can be wider or thinner. Okay. Then we can also adjust the scale along the path. So if we just wanted to do something simple, we can kind of like scale it by shaping kind of like this, and we can create the shape that we're looking for our character. If we need more geometry to create the shape, you can do a resample, because at this point we're not working with the points that we need for the joints. We're just working on this here, and then we can decrease the minimum length, and the more we decrease it, the more points we're going to have. Right now with the sweep, we have a set of all the lines are linear, so we can actually switch these over to B-spline. And in order to see the smoothness, we should do the in and out for each one of these. There we go. So as we kind of curve this, you can see that it is a much smoother curved line that we have here. Okay, so this is good, but it's going to limit us to be completely symmetrical. And I don't want that. I want to be able to adjust the shape a little bit more detail. And columns, I'm going to increase this to 20. That is okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do that, it's going to be a little tricky, but we'll get it working. We're going to do a point VOP here. And that basically goes into the line here. And we can start adding attributes. So there is an attribute called scale. It's a vector. Actually, not that scale. We're going to do a bind export. And then let's jump out at this level and look at the sweep. And then look at the, oops, not there. Go back into the point VOP. So in this, it is going to be a vector. Oops, not directional, just a vector. Because we have an X, Y, and Z for the line here. And the parameter is going to be named scale. And if we jump out, so right now we're on this one. If we go here, we are not seeing any change. So let's look at this. Because we could do p scale, but that's essentially doing the same thing. We want a vector. Let's do a parameter. And I want to see this end result, so that way we're seeing it. And this parameter is going to be our profile vector. And then we can change it from float to vector and connect this in here. Let's see if we change it. Yeah. So when we do that, you can see that it scales it down to 0. And if we put this back at 1, 1, and 1, we get control over all of the points that we are doing the sweep on, because each individual point has a different scale. So I like this having the vector, but we want a little bit more control, because now we're just doing the whole thing as a whole, and we want it to happen along the path. So one of the things in the resample node, if we scroll down to the bottom, there's this curve U attribute. I'm going to check that on, go into here, and then I am also going to create a bind. And with this bind, we're going to name it curve U. Okay, and then the curve U is going to go into a ramp parameter. So we're going to take the curve U into the input, and we're going to manipulate the values using this ramp. Then the ramp needs to go over here, but this ramp right now is going to be a float. We needed 3 values for the vector. So something else that I want to change, instead of an RBG color ramp, I'm going to do a spline, so that way we can control it this way. And then we're going to do a float to vector. So here we can input 3 floats. So here we're going to have 1. The last value is going to be 1 here, and then we can connect that into the bind. So right now we have this ramp, That's cool. Let's take a look out here. You can see that the ramp is completely flat. We're gonna bring this out here. So this is your front profile. So right now it's just named ramp, but to make it easy for us, let's name this front profile. Okay. So then it goes into here. It's taking that value, so it's going from 0 to 1. And then it is going to adjust everything to make it work properly. Cool. So we have the front profile. Now we need the side profile. We can just duplicate this here. I just alt dragged to make a copy of it. And then I'm going to connect this into the second input. And on this one, we're going to name it side profile. Oh, I connected the wrong one. That's why it's giving us an error. There we go. So let's go over here into the side profile, and you can see that we have the shapes. So now within this curve, I'm going to make this point a B-spline and this point here a B-spline. And then on this one over here, I'm going to change it to B-spline, and this one here to B-spline. So for the front profile, I can go in and actually kind of manipulate the points to create the shape that I want, and then I can do the same thing with the side, and I get control of both the X and Y values of the profile. And these tops, because they're kind of like very much sticking out, if we wanted to, we can do the Z as the third attribute to see how far up we want that to go. So we can go back in here and we can create another one. And this will be, let's say, oops, I don't want to name it there. I could name it there, but what I need to name it is here. And this is going to be top and bottom. And then connect that to the third input. So if we look at the attributes here, we have the top and bottom. Let's change these to B-spline and B-spline. But you can see that the bottom is completely flat when it's at 0, but we can kind of round it off a little bit, and we can taper down the top if we wanted to, adjust that. And I guess technically if we wanted to, we can go in the negative direction, I believe. Let's see what happens when we go in the negative direction. Yep, we can do a concave surface. Do something kind of like that for the shape. And then let's do the side profile. I want to kind of maybe do something like that. And then on the front profile, let's say on the chest I kind of go up, and maybe it goes down, and then maybe I give it a bit of a belly at the bottom. Something kind of like that, so we create a little bit more of a, this is a side profile. I want, oops, at another point, I just want to move this one a little bit. Okay, and then you can play around with the shape. I think kind of want it like that, and overall the let's say I wanted to make there we go, everything just a bit kind of thinner on the profile maybe. add it. I just want to kind of manipulate this a little bit. You can just play around until you're happy, and something like that. We'll start off there. Okay, so I have that. That is good. We can do the arms. And right now, we can see that the arms have a good positioning. The legs are way too wide, so I can take the legs if I wanted to. So where are my legs? Arms, leg. And on the X direction, just move it in. So we have something like that. And then this is the line for the, this is going to be our foot joint names, and this is our foot line. And then can copy that, just Control C and then Control V here. Cool. Okay, I like that. That works. And I kind of want the whole thing to be shorter. We can play around with it later, but now I want to basically do the same process here. So I'm going to copy both of these nodes. Oops. So undo that. Alt drag both of these. And then I'm going to push Y to cut these. And what might be actually kind of nice. So let's cut this. So that way we kind of organize it a little bit. Let's start organizing this a little bit better. I'm going to create a null node here. And this null node is going to be our out spine line. Okay, and then what I can do is add an object merge here. And this object merge goes into this one, and I basically can drag and drop that object here so we can see that we have it right, and we can work on the geometry in a different area. Okay, so I have these. Let's put these over there where I'm going to work with it. And then start working with the arms. So we have the arm line here, and I'm going to just copy that null node. And then rename this out arm line. Okay, and then this one needs a object merge, and actually we can copy over that resample node, put it there, and then this object merge is going to, so if we select that one, we are going to take this and put it here instead. Boom. So now if we look at this, we have that body part, and then this one is the arm. And obviously with the arm, we are very much too big overall. So I'm going to do kind of just reset a little bit what I'm working with, and then go to the sweep, and the sweep has a radius that we can use as kind of like a multiplier. So I can make this overall kind of much smaller. You can see the shape, and then let's merge these here together. Ooh, I did merge. There we go. Select both of these, bring it together, so that way we can see what it's looking like as a whole. So here we can see that it's not quite connecting into the body. If this was wider, we could get it connected into body. So what I am going to do for the arm is just inset it a little bit. Arm line. So I know that the proportions are where I need it to be. So I am going to take the X and move it in and do something kind of like that. And then we can see that the other points, they will have to be adjusted to work properly with this, but we have that. Okay. And then let's start expanding out these out nodes. So this is, oops. This is going to be the palm. And we'll do something with the palm. Let's just rename these because I want it to connect into the fingers. Then this is going to be middle. Pinky. And then index. And thumb. Oops. There we go. Thumb. Okay. So have the body coming together here. And let's take the object merge. Boop. And I'll start off with the palm. So let's put that there. And then I am going to merge this here. Boop. And then let's create a sphere. And this is obviously going to be huge, but I want to copy to point. I could do a copy to point or match size, but in this case there's only one point, so I might as well just copy to point. So that's the geometry we want to copy to, and the template is the palm. So we can see that it connects it there, and then we can cut that and connect this here. With the sphere, I want it to go in the opposite direction, so I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees when it's created. So let's set this way. Oh, not center. Rotate. Rotate. Can I just do it if I rotate in Z rather than doing two axes? There we go. That's what I want. And then let's make the sphere much smaller. The palm, I know that it's going to need to be select it. There we go. we're going to push the palm in a little bit. There we go. And then on this sphere, I am going to squash the radius in the up vector, which I am not sure which way it is. There we go. So that way we have a flatter palm. And then maybe also in the Z a little bit. Nope, not the Z, the Y. And then I can go back to the point, and I'm going to inset it a little bit. Oh, I have the wrong one. There we go. That's the palm. Nope. And then let's make some adjustments on the arm profile. So we have this point VOP here. So the front profile is going to be coming in and out like that. So let's start off with kind of like a bigger shoulder area. We're going to go down into the elbow. And then the wrist is going to be the smallest. And then let's do that in the front view also, or the side view. So that way we are kind of getting the shape that we have here. And I think overall I want it maybe a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go into the sweep here and increase the radius. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit more definition to like the biceps here and the forearm. And then before it comes into the actual wrist, we'll taper it a little bit. And let's bring this back. Something kind of like that. And then maybe at the end we're going to expand it a little bit more. Cool. So that way we have a little bit of a defined geometry. If we want to, we can kind of play around with the shape here a little bit and maybe plump up the shoulder even more. Something kind of like that. And then now looking at it, I want this line to be into the body. So I can either make the body wider or I can move the shoulder in a little bit. So I'm actually going to make the body a little bit wider in the side profile there. Need another point, I guess, here. And we can take the value, it's already at 1, we can kind of over crank it a little bit and then maybe do that on the front also. Oh, I don't need another point, I just need that one. Something kind of like that. I'm going to have to play around with the look and the design of the character, but I think this is okay for now. And then let's do the fingers. So I'm going to need another object merge, and we'll start off with the middle finger. Boom. And we're essentially going to need these here. Actually, let's do the arm because they're already smaller. It's just still going to be too big. Okay, so let's take a look at the sweep. And we're going to bring the radius significantly more down. And then the curvature on the finger here, that's good there. And this resampling is going by the length. So if we wanted to, we can switch it over to segments, so that way we know we have enough segments there. And let's look at the points here. So we have a lot of this stuff that we don't need. It's going to start off kind of like wide. And then kind of come here and then go down like that. And we'll kind of mimic that on the other direction as well. And then we can put pads for each one of the fingers. There you go. That's a pretty nifty looking finger. Okay. So I'm going to copy that over, link it in, and then on this one, if we wanted to, we can just type in pinky. So you don't have to drag it in. You can, if you know what it's called, type in the name of that attribute. And all of these we're going to have to shift in a little bit. And we could also kind of like create a shape from like the wrist to the point of the middle finger if we wanted to create the hand shape a little bit better, but I think this is okay for right now. I just wish I had a little bit more control over the sphere here. Okay, so the only thing with the pinky that I might do is on the sweep, take the radius tiny bit down because it's not going to be as prominent as the middle finger or the index finger. Do something kind of like that, maybe a little bit more, a little bit bigger, not too. Okay, there we go. We have that, and then I am going to create another one for the index finger. Boom. And boom. And this is going to be named index. There we go. And I am going to bring the radius down a tiny bit on this too, just ever so slightly. Okay. And then we can do the thumb. And that's obviously going to need to be replaced. So let's start adjusting the positioning of all of this geometry here. So we have the middle finger. something like that. Then the pinky finger. Something like that. Then the index finger. And really looking at it, the middle finger should be a little bit higher positioning. And the pinky should be a little bit lower. Oh, not that direction. Lower. Okay. And then let's take a look at the thumb. So this one, we're going to need to push it forward. It's going to be there. And then it's going to be more down. And, ooh. And then let's kind of inset it a little bit. Do something kind of like that. Okay, so now that I have that positioning good for the thumb, let's go back to our geometry, and we are going to adjust the size of this a little bit. So on the, I'm on the sweep. I don't want the sweep. I want the point fob. There we go. Okay, so I feel like I just want this beginning one to be a little bit kind of bigger. And actually, we can round that out. That would be good. And do we want to round this a bit? There we go. Okay. So it gives us a shape that I like. I'm happy with that. Let's turn off the points and the point numbers. Can kind of, if we go here, see where we're at right now. That is okay for our little character. Then we need the legs. So we're going to go over here and let's match this with the other names that we have. We have an underscore there. And then let's copy this over, put it here, and this is going to be our leg line. And our foot line. Although I don't know if I'm going to use it, but we'll have an out node here. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to need basically this. Let's take the arm. These are all fingers. That's the palm. This is the arm. We'll take that and copy it over. And on this, we're going to change it instead of arm to leg. And let's merge this in. Boom. Okay. So right now it's going straight up and down, and that's okay. But I think I want it to be more kind of like angled like this. So what I'm going to do with this leg line is, boom, 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 there's the leg line. Let's bring this point in, ooh, too much, slowly, like this. So it's somewhere like that. But then instead of just going straight down, we can push it in the X direction a little bit. If we do 1, it's going to be quite extreme, basically 45-degree angle, which is not what we want. We just want something that feels a little natural. So just going in kind of slowly until that feels good. And let's look at where the foot is. And with the foot line, I'm just going to visually kind of adjust it a little bit. So that way it aims where we want it. Okay, let's look at the geometry now. And I am good with that. Let's go ahead and start adjusting this a little bit more. I am going to take the profile shapes that we're having here. So on the top, I can kind of round it off a little bit more. I don't know if it's we're gonna see. We see a tiny bit there. Okay, and then on the, let's get the whole thing to be a little bit wider in the sweep. I'm gonna adjust the radius up. Boom. Something kind of like that. I like it. And then go back here, and then we can look at the shape. We got a good knee shape there. This goes into the ankle, and let's say we did something kind of like that. And it's basically the is this one exactly at 0.5? Let's shift this up. 0.5. So that's the, actually, let's put this back here. Let's do something there, and boom. And right now with the resampling, we probably don't have enough. So I'm going to switch it over here, and let's give it 20. We're going to remesh all of this anyways. Okay, and then now we can look at this profile here. So this is going to be the kind of calf area. The knee is a little bit too pronounced, so we're going to do something kind of like that. And then let's get rid of this point. And get rid of that point. And this one. Just simplify the shape a little bit. Okay, and then on the ankle, gonna have it come more like that, and then we can adjust the whole profile, or the front profile. And then with the calves, and then this is going to be at 0.5. And we can boom, boom, boom. Okay, I like that. Okay, so this is a good start for the character here. And then what I want to do now is create the foot. So with the foot, I could bring in the foot. Let's see what that looks like, but it's kind of separated from the ankle. So it might be a little bit off, but we'll see. Let's put this instead of leg to foot. And let's put this into here. And we'll visualize the whole body together. And obviously a very, very radius way too big. So we're going to bring this kind of down. Okay, maybe we can work with this. We'll try. Gonna go to point fop and let's simplify all these lines. Don't. Lots of points here. Oh, we have something kind of like that, and then we can do these. And then this goes back. So let's see if we take this and we overcrank it. Not position, the value. I can get something that kind of comes back. That might be enough for what we need. Okay, and now that I see that, let's start off with the radius here and bring up the radius a little bit bigger. I want something kind of like that. Now that we've adjusted the radius, I can adjust this top and bottom value. So this is position, what is it, 0? And then this value, we can taper it down a bit. Something kind of like that. The resample, it's too high for this one. Let's put it at like 8. And then let's go ahead and look at the shape of the foot. I'm gonna kind of am I in the right one? Yeah, I'm on the foot. Okay, so this is the vertical profile. So, and then let's take the line itself for the foot. Make it a little bit longer. Cool. Okay, let's go back over here. And I am still going to work on this. Let me get the foot or the leg a little bit, and on the bottom here, let's extend this a little bit. That looks good. Okay, and then let's go back here. Obviously the point of the foot is just a little weird. Okay, let's make it wider. Something, yeah, something like that. And then let's make the middle maybe a tiny bit. Let me come. Okay, and then I am going to push the start of the line for the foot a little bit further back. Foot line. So that's going to be in the Z here. And maybe a tiny bit up. Oops, that's good. I want it up. something kind of like that. Okay, I'm gonna save so that I don't lose all this progress, and then on this one I want the bottom of the foot flat, so what I'm going to do is create a box, and let's bring the size down. Something like that. I'm going to match size, so match size. And the match size, the first input is going to be the geometry we want to move. The next one's the target. So by default, it's going to center them. But I want the maximum value of the box to line up with the center. And then what I'm going to do now is add a Boolean. And I'm going to take A and B. And then I actually want the reverse of this. Nope. Let's do that. Oh, actually, is that what I want? That is what I want. Okay. And then I can cut this and connect this Boolean shape over here. And let's look at it all together. So we have everything built together for that half of the character. Then I want to merge everything. So we're going to do another Boolean. And on this Boolean, I am going to, instead of subtract, do a union and connect it here after the merge. So that way it makes it all one geometry. And then I want to remesh this. So I have the labs tools installed. And I'm going to use the Exercise quad remesher. You can use the quad remesh beta from Houdini, but it's still in beta. This is a plugin. You can get a free trial for it from the labs tools, or you can purchase the license. I already purchased the license on mine, so I'm going to use this one and then connect it here. And then what is the error that it's giving us? Boom, boom. I'm going to mirror it across the X anyways. Let's see. Is it not saying my license? Let me pause and connect my license. Just so that you can see there's the license manager down here. Okay, I connected it and it still didn't work, but what I found is as soon as I changed this value, for some reason it started working. So we can do that, and by default it's coming up with a pretty okay mesh. Let's try 2000. Adaptive size, let's increase this to 100. 1500. It seems like something in this mesh is not making it super happy at larger. Oh, there we go. Okay, but I did want to make sure that I mirror it across the x-axis. And what is the error now? Oh, there we go. But it is not quite mirroring it across perfectly. What I am going to do before we get to this point then is add a clip. And if we look at this, by default it will clip the side that we want. And nope, it's still not mirroring it over properly. I am mirroring it over on the X. Let me pause again and tweak this until I get it. Okay, so the trick, we had the clip here to to get it to work, if I turn on the polyfill, it has that filled over. I'm going to make sure that that's turned off. And then before we go into the quad remesher, we're going to do a mirror. So that way it mirrors the geometry and puts it over on the other side. And then when it quad remeshes it, we are doing pretty good. Okay. So that creates the shape that works pretty well with this. And we have a character that we can now bind to our skeleton. And because we use that skeleton to position everything, it will actually just like line up. But if you had a different character, like I said, you can always adjust it in the rig pose here to match the size. I am going to play around with the shape a little bit because I'm not 100% happy with this. I think he's too tall. I want him to be more squat in the size that he is and things like that. But let me pause and come up with a shape that I'm a little bit happier with. Okay, so I got a shape that I'm kind of happy with for this character. It's very kind of like simple shape just to experiment with and play around with, but I have a cool working shape. All right, so that's essentially all I did was tweak some of the settings and move the joints around a little bit, but I ended up with this fun little shape for a character. All right, that's it for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.